Welcome to the Blueprints podcast. I'm Isabelle Brodigam here with Michael Flory, founder, CEO, and my dad. And so today we're going to be diving into clarity breaks. You just took a clarity break, went away for a weekend and took some time to focus, recenter. So I really want to talk about what is a clarity break, and then why you do them, and then what were some insights that you gained from this last clarity break.
Yeah, it's great. It was, it's always amazing and it's always hard. When I first learned about clarity breaks, it was kind of presented to me as a leader of the company. It's really important as you as an entrepreneur to get away and take some time with a blank piece of paper. So that's what it starts off as, just a blank piece of paper and a pen and no devices, and just sitting there and thinking, and then writing your thoughts down, and just basically getting everything that's inside of me out on paper. But the biggest challenge I find with a clarity break is like actually taking scheduling it, putting this on my schedule, and then committing to it, and then doing it, because there's all amount of excuses that I come up with. You know, this wasn't going to be worth it. You know, I'm more valuable if I'm here working in the business. So the clarity break is really an opportunity for me as the entrepreneur to take some time away. If you're leading people, you need to sometimes get time away from the day-to-day, the busyness of all the interruptions and all the fires. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in business, you're going to have fires, you're going to have decisions to make, you're going to have things that are coming up. And it's just an opportunity to get away from all of that and, focus on whatever comes up. And then as you process through that, then what else comes up? And so a lot of personal, a lot of professional, all mixed together, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and usually you and I will talk about your clarity breaks, but you just got back from it. So I actually haven't heard any of the insights from your clarity break. So I'm really curious because, you always come back from those refreshed with a vision, with clarity. And so what popped up on this most recent clarity break?
Well, it's a very personal, I had a very personal retreat. Different things come up for me. This last one was had a lot of depth to it. And so I got to kind of dive into some of I think the opportunity is, especially in our culture, it's really easy to be stuck in your head. And when you can take some time to start being out of the day-to-day, the stress, the things that you don't even know you're thinking about all day long, but you are thinking about, for me, this one was a real intentional one. Like, I got on an airplane, flew to Salt Lake City, went and did some hikes and just got out in nature. And so it allowed me to really do some deeper work. I also, for part of my time out there, most of it was by myself, but I did have a coach for part of it to kind of walk me through some questions and to go deeper into some of my thoughts. And, and so for me, some of the things the biggest insight I had is like the one word, if there was one word that is a word that I don't relate well to, it's failure. And I got to see both sides of failure. Like, failure is like, the absolute thing that I don't want. And then when I accept failure for what it is, it's the greatest thing. It's like the essence of success and transformation. So without failure, without pushing ourselves, think about lifting weights, think about when we, do something that we've never done before, you got to first break the system over and over again. And then you break it, you put it back together, you break it, you put it back together. But as a human being, I'm really hard on myself. So that's something that I really got to take some time and kind of look at that side and how I see failure, and really face some of that. Had some tears, got to just really work through some of the inner fears that reside and keep me sometimes from making the best decision as a leader.
Yeah. And I can just say, not only as somebody who works alongside you, but also as your daughter too, like, it's been really inspiring, and I'm really proud of you for taking that time away. Like, I know how busy life is. You have 8 kids and a business and involved in other things and giving. And so I just have watched you, especially in the last 2 years, be really intentional with taking that time away, and your clarity breaks have become like a more and more, I don't know how to say it, but like a powerful transformative time for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think about all the excuses I made for many years because it wasn't really necessarily anything that I'd read. I hadn't read about clarity breaks in a book, but for many years prior to 2016, I had thought, man, I got to take some time off. When I started the business, pre 2008, it was like you would trip over jobs. Everybody was doing something. Houses were being built like crazy. The economy was on fire. You didn't have to be, you could do a lot of things wrong and still get a sale. And then the economy crashed in 2008 and constricted our business, and things got really difficult and really hard and just a lot of grinding. And as a new entrepreneur and not having some of the skills and tools you're still learning, you're just working harder, and I'm going to work harder and do more and work faster and try to get more done. And, you end up getting to a place where you're really stuck, and you get to certain levels, and you can only do so many sales when you have these kinds of processes in places, and maybe you're lacking a leadership team, and you don't have the right people in the right seats, and so you're just banging your head against the ground. And I just remember thinking, man, I need to get away. I need to take a retreat. And it really wasn't until 2017 when I was kind of forced to take a clarity break. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people out there, like, we have a choice every day. We got choices. We're in choice. That was another big takeaway from my clarity break, is that like everything in life is a choice. And how many times have I probably said this to you guys, like, make good choices, right?
Yeah.
But if we just drop the good part and we just say make choices, imagine the freedom that comes. Because honestly, is it a good or a bad choice? Let's say you make a choice and it ends up failing, right? What do you learn from that?
You can grow from it.
Yeah, we grow from it, right? That was like the whole essence of my clarity break. But I just want to emphasize too, for me, it took, playing hockey and getting knocked out and having a fight for my life for 2.5 years, going through a head injury season and having to go see doctors and, went to multiple clinics. It wasn't until I got, 2.5 years into that, I really got my brain working again. But during that season, because I couldn't do the things that I had always done, like I couldn't go into stores, I couldn't handle lights, I couldn't handle sounds. It was during that season that I really felt this voice inside of me say, like, it's time to retreat, time to get away. And it was during that season that I started spending time by myself. And you can do it as simple as do it in your backyard. And I found a place here in DeWitt, Michigan. It's a real special place to me, but it's called St. Francis Retreat Center, and it's a retreat center that anybody can go use, and you can do personal retreats there. And it's just 4 walls and a space. But it was really during that season that I really started to process through a lot of stuff that we push down, and in life, when things come up in the midst of life, let's say when you're, when I first started this business, like how old was I? I was 25 years old. I had certain things. So when certain things would come up, you guys were all young, right? There would be things that would come up. You guys would get hurt. I remember when I took you to the ER, like all the emotions that I felt when you got your finger stuck in that clipboard in the back seat of the car. I kind of forgot about that. And I had her out on an in-home with me, and she was in the car with mom. You were in the car with mom, and you put your finger into that clipboard and couldn't get it out. We had to take it to the ER, and they couldn't get it cut off. And we were there for, it was crazy. So it was like finger was stuck. I thought we were going to have to cut your finger off, and there's a lot of trauma. And like during that moment, I was just in the moment there, just solving problems, being the fix, and it's like, and I didn't take the time to process. Like, it's like, we got your finger out there, we got you home, we got you iced up, and then we're off to the next thing. It's just life sometimes doesn't give us a chance to break. So, the clarity break is really about an opportunity for you to take a break from all of this, all your relationships, all of your stuff, all of the things that you think that are so important, And, so as I started taking those retreats, during that season, they were really, really hard, but very special times. And they were kind of the fruit that led to me continuing to do that. I could say it's a little harder now. It's very intentional now. I mean, I do it. I put it on my schedule. I just do it. But when I was dealing with my head injury, it was like out of necessity. I had to go because like I committed to it, and I was trying to get better. I was trying to heal up. I was, I had to have the space because I couldn't think the way I normally could. I had to have the space to just be away from everything so that I could try to refile my thoughts and figure out the next plan. Who was the next doctor? How was I going to do this? What were my action items? What things did I need to put in place? And so I would do a lot of tactical work, and you can do some of that in a clarity break too. So it can be, I mean, I would take Post-it notes, write all my goals on different things that
these aren't like small Post-it notes.
No, these
They're
are
the
like
extra large Post-it notes and put them up on the wall.
All over the walls. And, so I've done it a lot of different ways. And the key is just committing to doing it and realizing that like it is probably the greatest, not probably, it is the greatest thing that you can do as a human being, is give yourself space and time, especially if you're in a leadership role or you're an entrepreneur. I think it's essential. It'd be like trying to plant a garden without tilling it up first. So these clarity breaks are like, it's like tilling the ground, and then you get to plant the seeds. You're not going to come back and everything's going to be fixed. I can tell you that. Like, that's just not going to happen. But you're going to till up some ground, you're going to plant some seeds, and it's going to be, you're going to have the soil where when you get back, you're going to start seeing things a little bit different. Things are going to start popping up that you didn't even have a thought about when you're on your clarity break, So don't go and think that you got to figure it all out and you got to get it all right. Just get what's in your head down on paper, and you're going to come back with some insights. And then just over the next few weeks, I mean, I've been back for a couple of days. A couple of big things was one on failure, and two was just like being in choice, and that every day, we are in choice. We choose whether we're going to get up or we're going to hit the snooze bar. We choose whether we're going to give ourselves a hug in the morning or, condemn ourselves, like we get to choose every day, and we're in choice. And just being able to kind of lay hold of that is something that we can talk more about on another episode.
Yeah. So. And I want to go back to one thing. So you got a little emotional there when you were talking about, the head injury season and being by yourself on these clarity breaks. And so like I know I'm your daughter. I do a lot of life with you. Like I think I could probably say what that emotion is, but like what does that come from? Like what place in you does that emotion get stirred?
What place in me? The darkest seasons, the darkest days of our lives are the best days of our lives. And I've never said this publicly, but I'm coming to the realization that the darkest and the hardest places that I've been are as I look at them, as I get away and I take these clarity breaks, I'm able to see a different part of me. As a 10-year-old boy, when I lost my parents, I saw that as a total disaster, And in this world that we live in today, just really close to our home on Sunday, there was a shooting in a church, and affected people in our neighborhood that knew people there, and really close to home. You can't look at a situation like that and see a lot of value in why that happened, and especially if you're one of the victims of the crime. But if you stay the course, you don't give up, and I think that's probably where the emotion comes from. It's like I stood the course. I remember thinking, I stopped going to church during that season. That was I couldn't sit in a building with all that noise, and like just the idea that I'm going to get away and sit in a space all by myself and process through not only my current emotions, but I would go into like some deep layers of, why don't I like to be alone? Why is there so much fear around this? And it led back to a lot of the earlier times. And here I am now, even on this last one, and I got to kind of go back and realize that like a lot of the hard things I went through, I chose, some of the stuff happens to you, but how you process through that and what I told myself as a little boy is very different than today as an adult, as I can look back and see what I did as a little boy. It's very powerful. That was very powerful. And you start getting perspective on some of that stuff, and it really helps you change your mindset about who you are as a person and can allow you to begin to transform how you show up every day.